Good morning to you and good morning to listeners. And thank you so much for inviting me on the show.
It's an absolute pleasure. Talk to us about World Food Day. How did it all come about and what happens on this day?
Thank you. World Food Day every year is a celebration globally, which is on 16th of October. And as with other years, in South Africa, through the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, under the leadership of the Minister Togo Diziza, we'll be celebrating World Food Day together with Food and Agriculture Organization. And as we also already mentioned as well, in addition, SABC, Vikera, and FANAPAN, in collaboration with FAO, is hosting a World Food Day conference online with the title Absorbing Shocks and Climate Change, to urge and strengthen the voice of the theme of World Food Day, which is Leave No One Behind, better nutrition, better production, better environment, and better life.
When we look at as a country representative for the United Nations Food Organization, of course, what has been your observation when it comes to food security here in South Africa?
We know that in South Africa, there are people that are food insecure, and this has been exacerbated by the fact of COVID-19 pandemic, raising food prices, raising fuel cost, and even raising input costs. So these are some of the issues that are affecting South Africa currently, that are impacting on many people's lives.
Yeah, it certainly is. But I mean, food insecurity, I imagine, has been there even before COVID. I mean, we have spoken to many of the, particularly some of our rural outlying areas where, you know, the only meal that a lot of young South Africans get is when they're at school. Other than that, they can't find food. And I mean, this is just it is very difficult to understand in a country such as South Africa, where one thinks, no, that shouldn't be an issue. But it is an absolute issue.
You have mentioned a very good, important point, which of course brings to the light the government efforts that are working towards supporting people that are vulnerable to hunger. So I think you have mentioned a very key, important point of school meal programs that also help to support people that can go home hungry. And again, also as FAO, we work with the government, especially through the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. And there are various programs that the Department of DARAD is working on to promote food production and livelihoods, and also entrepreneurship for the people that are not able to produce that are not able to produce some food. So I think these are very good efforts that are going on, and slowly by surely we're going to be able to conquer this food insecurity.
When we look at women, however, because that I think is one of the biggest issues. When we talk about women and we talk about food insecurity, it always appears that that is the face of food insecurity, not only here in South Africa, but on the continent. And that issue also, I imagine, needs to be addressed, and talking to the issue of women.
You are absolutely right. I think women are at the margins of food insecurity. They're at the margin, the most vulnerable in terms of health, most vulnerable in terms of nutrition. So the issue of women has to be at the forefront. And I usually say that actually for us to find solutions to address hunger and food insecurity and malnutrition, we will need to focus our efforts on women, because research has it that if you invest, I'll give in dollar terms, we can convert it in rand terms. If you invest an additional $10 to a woman, you have nutrition and health benefits out of it, but a man will need $110 of the same investment to get the same result. So it is quite critical to invest in women. And most important as well, we know that in South Africa, the majority of the population are women. And in addition, more than 70% of people working in agriculture production are women. So it is very important that we really focus our efforts on addressing women, providing them access to resources, access to inputs, access to technology, and most importantly, access to markets.
Yeah, you know, we also, I suppose, need to look at the issues around food insecurity and the problems that we look at. And, you know, when we talk about people, particularly children that don't have enough food, that go to bed hungry, it's stunting of growth. You know, there's that double-edged sword where you have got children that go to bed hungry and cannot eat, and obviously exacerbated by COVID, but it's something that has been around for quite some time, and it is a dire situation. And then there's also the issue of overeating and food wastage. So between stunting and malnutrition and being overweight and throwing food away, it's these two problems that we see worldwide and globally, but obviously here in Africa, it's a major problem. What are some of the things that we're doing to combat that, to try and assist where these issues are found?
Thank you so much for bringing that paradox between having quite a lot of food available in a country such as South Africa, but also having some food being wasted, but at the same time finding that people are going to bed hungry, but at the same time also children also being affected, but as you mentioned, by stunting, by wasting, but at the same time also having the other side of malnutrition, which is overweight and obesity, as you've mentioned. So there are several programs that are there to promote or to reduce malnutrition. One of them, of course, is to ensure that agriculture production is diversified so that the food that ends up on the table is diversified and provides the nutrients that the children need to have for their growth. But again, also social protection programs are quite important. I think you also mentioned a very good example of the social protection program that government has in South Africa of providing school meals. That is also an aspect that also helps to provide at least a nutritious meal or two nutritious meals for children that are going to school. But also what is important again is also for nutrition education for social behavior change, because addressing malnutrition or having a diversified diet is can sometimes be possible even with a little food that we have, if we know how to combine those foods, and also if we know that probably trading for one food with a wholesome food. For example, I'll give an example, maybe trading a sweetened beverage with an apple or with a vegetable, that would already help in terms of reducing malnutrition. So there is the two-way method whereby you're also looking at government efforts and international organization efforts like FAO and other UN agencies, but at the same time also working with the people to empower them to make the right choices and be able to make good food combinations that would help reduce malnutrition within the resources that they have.
All right, let's just find out now what the upcoming conference and the partnership with the entities like the SABC are hoping to achieve. As we say, and I know we brought it up in the introduction where we were saying that the issues to actually get implementable solutions, it's something that is hoping is what is achieved after this. But talk to us a little bit about it and the partnership with the SABC.
Okay, thank you so much. So SABC, Vikela F and FANAPAN in collaboration with FAO organizing a conference on the 26th of October, on 26th of October 2022 to dive deeper into the issues of food insecurity, particularly through the issues of climate change within the context of the World Food Day event, which is Leave No One Behind, and better production, better environment, which of course is at the core of climate change, as well as better nutrition and better life. And we hope through this conference to highlight the problem of hunger and malnutrition in South Africa, as well as to bring to forefront the strengthening of national solidarity, strengthening the struggle against hunger, malnutrition, and poverty by means of promoting food production and stimulating national bilateral transitional and government initiatives. Also, we aim to encourage research and technology for the advancement of symbiotic ecological food production system to promote these new technologies for improved food production. And finally, and most importantly, to enhance participation of rural people, particularly women and the underprivileged, in decisions concerning the events that pertain to their lives, as well as to raise public awareness on the government programs aimed at halving the hunger in South Africa.
Fantastic, Mercy. Thank you. Thanks so much for talking to us here on the program. Dr. Mercy Chikoko.